time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And good afternoon, and welcome into Tiger Talk. This is a big program today, our crossover program. First one of the year. We're going to talk some basketball. Head men's coach Mark Johnson joining us. We'll get to him here in just a little bit. The Tigers opening up their season with an exhibition game tonight in Lawrence against the Kansas Jayhawks. We're going to talk some women's soccer as Tyson John will join us. They're gearing up for the MIAA tournament with a home match on Friday. Of course, Fort Hays State volleyball and football with head coach Chris Brown. We're certainly glad to have you a part of it here on this Wednesday. And as we always say, we'd love to have you participate. You can email us your question. All you have to do is go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. Click on fans. You'll get that drop-down menu, and you'll see Ask the Coach. And, of course, if we use your question, you'll be registered for a chance to win a T-shirt from the Fort Hays State Athletic Department. And, of course, our in-house crowd. Love to have questions from you as well. You can submit it there at your table. And, of course, we always invite you to join Tiger Club. You can be a part of the fun every Wednesday. Your donation goes toward athletic scholarships. It's $100. And then buy your meal on Wednesdays. You can be a part of the fun here every Wednesday as we talk Fort Hays State sports on Tiger Club with Tiger Talk. Before we talk basketball, real quick, cross country. Jason McCullough normally in the first segment. They were off this past weekend, gearing up for regionals. They'll be in Joplin, Missouri on Saturday for the Division II Central Regionals. Hopefully a good day of running for them, and we'll get an update next week and see how many qualify for the national meet. All right, we're going to bring in head men's basketball coach Mark Johnson. I know you got to get on the road here quickly to head to Lawrence to take on Kansas, but hard to believe it's another season upon us. Tough challenge here tonight, but some excitement as always going into the new college basketball season, which has arrived.
Yeah, the off-season comes at you quick. You don't feel like it's not quite the off-season it used to be, with now the more time we can spend with our players in the postseason and then when they get here and school starts. So we've been going at it quite a bit. So, they're tired of banging heads against each other. You know, we were supposed to scrimmage Colorado Mines this past weekend, and it got canceled because of the weather in Denver. So, I mean, they're just wanting to play someone else. Unfortunately, it has to be KU as somebody else, you know what I mean? But it'll be a great experience for our guys. It always is. We talk about it every time. It's more about the experience, just getting to play against those level of players in that arena with that type of crowd, that type of atmosphere. It's really more about that experience than anything else. Our goal for our players always is just go there, play. Don't let them play harder than you. Don't let them be more physical than you, and try to do as many right things as you can. The results are the results. Don't get caught up in the results. Just get caught up with what we can control every possession. It's good for us in the fact that we're going to face adversity, and you never know with your team how they're going to respond to adversity, and we're going to see a lot of adversity tonight. So that's also good to get our guys to see how we're going to respond when things get challenging. It'll definitely be challenging.
And those games are tough. You're never going to face a team, at least you hope you don't face a team with their size, and just what you face tonight, you don't face it any other time this year. So it's you don't get a good sense of maybe what you're going to do during the rest of the year, but as you said, it's for the experience and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a jump shooting game. I mean, we can't take away their inside and their perimeter. So you start the game off trying to take away their inside and hope they're missing shots. And then for us, I mean, we feel like we have some guys, Elijah, Caleb, they can get to the rim and finish. That's going to be a challenge tonight. We feel like we have one or two guys that maybe we can throw it into the post a little bit more at times this year. That's going to be hard to do tonight. So I think, it's all about a jump shooting. We make them shoot jump shots, and we're going to get mostly jump shots. And if you hit them, you hang around and be competitive. If you don't, it's a struggle. I think the biggest thing for us is the disappointment of not having our scrimmage. Your new guys always think they're running back on defense hard enough, and you need to have that first game to show them on film that, look, this is what we're talking about. You think you're running back, but you're really not. And tonight we're going to play the fastest team we play all year. So that's my biggest concern is, are we going to get back in transition enough? Because a lot of times new guys need to see it on film before they believe it. And we didn't have that opportunity. So it'll be interesting how well we sprint back on defense time and time. I know that sounds like just a mundane thing, but it's not. A lot of your big guys want to trail with their big guy and think they're doing right instead of getting 5 guys back, helping your point guard slow the ball down in transition and things like that. So hopefully we'll be able to get some things accomplished in a positive manner for us.
Yeah, your team is interesting. You look at it, you have a lot of firepower back from really the last couple of years, but yet you've got as many new faces on your roster as you've had in quite some time. It's an interesting mix of returners, but yet a lot of new guys who I know you're expecting some big things from.
Yeah, it's probably been a little bit slower. The last couple of years, I think last year we had 3 or 4 new guys. The year before that, we only had 2, and only one of them was going to play. The other was going to redshirt. And so now 6 of our 14 are new. So it is a much slower process, probably having to go back to what it usually is most seasons. I think the last couple seasons have been kind of unusual for us in the fact that not very many new guys, and guys knew kind of what they were doing, what was expected from day one. So this has probably been a little bit more challenge for us and all that. But I think we do have enough returners that kind of helps with that. We have 6 guys back that played decent minutes from a year ago. We have a couple other guys that redshirted that at least were in practice every day. I know this will be new game situation. But we got to get some of our new guys. You got to go in there and, like I always say, minutes are earned, not given, and we probably have a couple of our big guys need to earn more minutes than what they're going to get tonight, if that makes sense. It's nothing there. It's just new. They got to figure out how to play hard at the right level, how to do things right. Everything matters. Every possession matters. What you do on every time down the floor makes a difference in our success or failure, and they're just not quite there yet, but they need to get there, and hopefully they can, because we're going to need a couple of these guys to, like I said, be a significant contributor, and right now we're going to have to rely more on our returners until those guys get up to speed.
Obviously, Caleb's had a great career up to this point, and excited to see what this year brings, but you've really had to rely on him a lot. He has logged a lot of minutes, and I think you even said it at Media Day a little bit, how you maybe saw the effects you get toward the end of the year and postseason, just the minutes. Hopefully some of these new guys can maybe – even if it's a couple of minutes a game, that's huge throughout the course of the year if you can get him just a little bit of a breather throughout the games.
Yeah, it would help. I think he was second in the country last year in minutes played, and that's a lot for any position, but a point guard position, we've got to stop the ball in transition, play good defense, and then get the ball out, push it down the floor, and then kind of run our offense. So we're lucky he has a motor and has toughness to fight through that. And I think as you look the last couple of years, and I don't know if it'll change, quite honestly. We'd like to rest him more, but it's kind of hard to do that. Nothing against anybody else. You just want him out there. Yeah. But we tend to start not pushing the ball as much because one of his great attributes is his speed. But as the season progresses the last couple of years, we tend to slow down because he's tired and he doesn't want to push the ball. And I understand. We don't, we got to have him out there for 39 minutes, so he can't just bring the ball blazing down the court every single time. It wears him out. But it would be nice if we could get a little more, and when I say more, we're talking maybe 4 more minutes in a game, but I still think that would make, if we could get him down to 32 minutes where he can rest and be at his best for 32 instead of playing 39 and being fatigued for some of those minutes. But that's easier said than done, and he's kind of your security blanket. And when it's a close game, I don't want to be talking to him on the bench. I want to be talking to him out on the floor. So we'll see if we can do that or not. You've
been so good defensively the last couple of years, and you graduated some key parts of why you were. How's this group come along on that end of the floor? I know they're never to the level you're probably going to like because, you're a defensive first guy, but how will they come along? And is it a situation where maybe you have a little more firepower on offense, you can kind of offset that a little bit?
It's probably a hard judgment in the fact that we have been so good the last 2 years that that's what you're used to seeing every day. and we're not as good as that, but I didn't expect us to be. So does that mean we're bad? I hope not. It just means we're not as good as we've been. But I don't expect, I say this every year when we know it's probably I probably say it too much, but like I said, we only see talent in one barometer. We see talent, a guy, how far, how fast he runs, how high he jumps, does all this. Like, that guy's talented, that guy's not talented. And I always say it takes a talent to play hard. Not everybody can play hard. It takes a talent to be tough. And probably the hardest, it takes a talent to be able to execute in the moment and read situations and have a feel. And our guys the last 2 years just had an unbelievable ability to not only play hard and be tough, but Gabe, Ian, and some of our returners just had an unbelievable defensive feel that they could be in the right spots and anticipate what was happening. There's not a lot of guys who can do that. I don't think so. We're probably not going to be to that level, but that was the best we've ever been. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to be the best you've ever been every year in a certain category, but I think we can be better in other areas. I think offensively might have a little more firepower. I think we might have the ability to rebound. I think offensively we should be able to be a better offensive rebounding team and get putbacks. We haven't been a very good offensive rebounding team the last few years, so that puts a lot of stress on your first shot. This year maybe we can afford to miss some and go get it and lay it in. So I think this group has the ability to do some other things better than what we've had. How much does that offset? And I don't think we're going to be a bad defensive team by any means, but that's a hard – last 2 years, especially last year, that's a hard group to match up with on that end of the floor.
We'll talk more, obviously, as we get into the season, but I want to ask you before we let you go, you look at your schedule, you're going to road a lot. I mean, it's probably one of the latest for your first home game to take place. You're going to get a big test next weekend in Emporia against 2 GAC schools, but your guys are going to have to figure out how to play well on the road early because you're going to be there a lot.
Yeah, when you play in this league, you can't help yourself. It's stupid. Don't look at your schedule because then it'll just stress you out the whole off season. But you kind of look at that and you look between the way our non-conferences worked. We're in Emporia for 2 games. We play Metro State at Metro State. And then I believe 7 of our first 11 conference games are on the road. So to start this year, 10 of our first 14 Division II games are on the road. So with a relatively new, inexperienced team to some degree, but we do have a lot, we feel like a decent enough returners to get out there. So it's going to be, if we can survive the first part of the season and have success, it's not that the schedule gets easy by any means playing in our league, but it gives you more opportunities. But we're really got to be in survivor mode those first 14 games. And, and by the way, of those 4 games at home in that stretch, one is Northwest Missouri State.
Only preseason number 1 in the country.
Yeah, the best team in the country. So our schedule is extremely challenging to start, but you can't get caught up in that. You just, like they would say, just take them one at a time and just keep trying to get better.
All right, sounds good. Well, we appreciate you joining us on game day today. Looking forward to the experience tonight at Allen Fieldhouse. We appreciate it. Good luck this evening, and looking forward to the start of some Tiger hoops. Should be a fun winter.
I appreciate it, Gerard.
There you go. That is Mark Johnson. He is the head men's basketball coach at Fort Hays State. Again, they will be in Lawrence tonight to take on Kansas. That's a 7:05 tip. Our coverage begins at 6:30. It will be televised on ESPN Plus. So if you're an ESPN Plus subscriber, you can watch it there. If you're not, go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website. There's instructions on how to download. And if you want to listen to our radio call while watching it, you can sync up by downloading the TuneIn app. And then whichever one's ahead, you'll pause, let the second catch up, and sync it up for the opening tip. And you can listen to the radio call while watching it on TV. Tiger Talk brought to you by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank, Hayes and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. More Tiger Talk next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. They're going to hand it off to Shane Watts. Not much running room. Now stays on his feet. He reverses direction. He's at the 45. He's at midfield. Cuts up to the 40. Breaks a tackle 35 and all the way down to the Bronco 30-yard line. 33 yards on a play that was going to be blown up in the backfield. Yeah, some of the action from Saturday. The Tiger football team with a 34-0 win over Central Oklahoma. We'll talk about that and preview a big one this week, Saturday in Warrensburg against Central Missouri with head coach Chris Brown a little bit later on in the program. But right now we're talking some women's soccer as they gear up for their postseason. They'll be at home Friday night taking on Northeastern State. We're joined by head coach Tyson John, and it's a grind of a season, and then you blink your eye, and next thing you know, it's postseason. That's kind of where we're at right now. Hard to believe it's this point of the year already.
That's exactly where we're at
it starts,
right now.
yeah. Congratulations. You get 12 wins in the regular season. First time, I think, since 2016. Obviously, would have loved to have beaten Washburn here on Friday night. 1-0, a tough loss to a really good team. But then you bounce back, got a hard-fought 1-0 win up in Kearney on less than ideal weather conditions to play. But your team did the job to get to the 12th win, secure a 3 seed going into the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we were looking to do. And that they're a tough opponent. They're tough to break down because they defend really, really hard. And then on top of it, when we get there 2 hours before the match and they're out there scraping snow, and we didn't even know that it snowed up there. We had a little bit of flurries here, but it wasn't Kearney. My California girl transfer in Florida, they're like, Coach, we've never done this before. And I said, well, you can't say that anymore because you're about to do it right now for about 90 minutes. So, it was a good result for us. The one bad thing that we took away from it is, third ACL of the year. Injuries. So, that puts more pressure and more minutes on other people. And, I think in my career before this year, I had 3 people tear ACLs over my entire career. And now I've had 3 in one season. And I was bragging at the end of last year where I was like, hey, we only had 1 injury the whole season. We had somebody roll their ankle in preseason and went through pretty unscathed. So I think I used up all my luck. It sure seems that way when it comes to that. So, and it's really tough for her because she was really coming on to it, and she was a transfer from Northwest Missouri State, and so, us finishing ahead of them and her having such a big impact with our group and her not necessarily having the same position there, I think was really, really special. And so, we're going to keep her in our thoughts and our prayers, and we're going to keep moving forward, and she's a great teammate, and so she'll be there supporting us all the way through.
Well, as you said, you've had to deal with this. It's not the first time, unfortunately, and it's kind of a testament to this team to be where they are. They seem to handle those things in stride and just, next woman up, I guess, so to speak, and just go out there and play, and they seem to handle those things about as well as you can expect because it's emotional for everybody when things like that happen.
For sure. They're a tough group. I think that's, the grit that we possess is kind of what makes us who we are, and that we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, just that blue-collar mentality of that, hey, it's not going to go our way. We don't put our head down. We keep trucking and keep moving forward because that's all that we can do.
Let's talk about the Washburn match. You lose at 1-0. It was senior night, and you had a pretty big group that you honor, and they've obviously been a part of a lot of wins in their time wearing the black and gold.
Yeah, obviously not an ideal result for us. They are a very good team. It really came down to just a mistake. One mistake. It looked like a foul where Hutch was pushed over the ball. Make a stabbing tackle, and then they turn around and they finish at 1v1, and we didn't create enough chances. And so if we're not going to create enough chances, that's kind of how it's going to end up. When we got to halftime of the Kearney game, we kind of talked back about that and said, look, this is our season, and we need to come out and we need to be a 2-half team because historically we have been a second-half team. And so that's something that kind of showed itself when we were playing a number 6 team in the country.
Talk about the seniors a little bit that you honor. They've all obviously left an impact, and with you being a relatively new coach to the program here, some of them were already here when you took over. That's always a tough time, but they seem to have adjusted well to your style of coaching, what you've wanted to accomplish, and obviously the results on the field and the pitch have shown that.
Yeah, just them as people alone, they're just going to be really, really tough to replace, and each of them are all special in their own individual way. On the field, the same. They all bring something different, and are a big part of us being successful. And so going out there and hitting the recruiting trail and being on the phone many hours a night, which my wife absolutely loves. They're going to be tough to replace. And so, we'd like to keep this going for as long as we possibly can.
Well, the postseason starts on Friday. The Tigers will be back at home, so a chance to see them at home one more time. Northeastern State, you beat them 2-0 in Tahlequah. That was back in mid-October. What do you remember from the first matchup? What are going to be the keys for your gals to advance on to the semifinals out of the quarterfinals on Friday night?
Hard work. They run a lot. They're a pretty direct team, and we we actually made an adjustment, going into the last match. And so that was something I think that where I learned a really good lesson last year, where I kind of stuck with the same style because it was like, if it's not broke, why would we fix it? But we're going to play with the ball less. We're going to be able to put ourselves more in situations where we're finishing the play, where we're getting corner kicks, we're getting shots on target. And so this is a team that likes to be pretty direct, but we are good at defending from the front. So they have changed a little bit. Right now they're running a 3-5-2. And so for us, we go, all right, well, we know that they have less in the back, and we have the pace, and we have quite a few girls that can run. And so we'll put it out there and let them go and get it.
Obviously, the goal is to get to the conference finals and try to find a way to win that. But beyond regionals, scenarios there, and obviously these matches are going to be big, is to see if your season can extend past the MIAA tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this first one is probably the most important at the moment, where we are either a 4 or 5 seed for the regional tournament. But yeah, with playing teams that don't necessarily have winning records, if you don't get the result, you definitely hurt your chances of that being possible. But yeah, I'm hoping that we play well, because going into the conference tournament, I think that teams like UCM and Washburn and some of these sorts, if we're able to successfully change our style of play, I think we have a really good shot.
All right. It's fun time of the year. It is here. Looks like it'll be a little bit nicer on Friday than it was up in Kearney for you on Sunday. I'm sure everybody's excited about that, but hopefully a good crowd to watch you gals play in the conference tournament opener in the quarterfinals, 7 o'clock against Northeastern State. Tyson, appreciate it so much for you joining us, and go get those Riverhawks on Friday.
Thank you very much.
There you go. That is head Fort Hays State women's soccer coach Tyson John. Again, they are in action on Friday, 7 o'clock at the FHSU Soccer Stadium. Real quick, a men's update. The Tigers on a 3-match win streak. In fact, they've won 4 out of their last 5 and 5 of their last 8 with a couple of ties in there. They were 4-1 winners over Harding and on Saturday. Then Thursday beat Northeastern State 2-0. They are in action tomorrow. They'll be down. They'll be at home again, 6 o'clock against number 17 Southern Nazarene. So that'll be at 6 o'clock from the FHSU Soccer Stadium. Then they wrap up their regular season Saturday, a 1 o'clock match in Claremore against Rogers State. Both of those will be on the MIAA network, so you can go to the FHSU athletic websites for the links to watch those matches. But a men's update, they're now 7-6-2, 6-2-2 in the conference, so it's been kind of a struggle, but starting to figure some things out here down the stretch. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. More Tiger Talk after the break on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game, plus catch every NFL game with the NFL Sunday Ticket. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go, or use DoorDash. Then, when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin, bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hayes.
Back to throw. Brownie's hit, and he is going to go down. Miles Menches, Jason Wallace combine on the sack back at the 12-yard line, and that front four is wreaking havoc so far in this first quarter. They are in the backfield again, and the Broncos, after the interception, will go 3 and out and have to punt. Yeah, more of the action from Saturday against Central Oklahoma. We'll talk more with head coach Chris Brown here shortly, but right now we're talking a little volleyball. Jessica Wood-Atkins joins us. Kind of a light week for you. You got a rare weekend off in season. It's almost unheard of. Of course, since we talked to you last, you played Thursday and took on Newman. And I know we talked about it. Those are scary matches. You're coming off the Washburn win, a ranked opponent, a lot of emotion into that. And then you face a winless team that has struggled, and boy, you see a lot of times teams come out flat and don't take care of business. They made it a little bit interesting, but bottom line, you found a way to get the job done, get the wins, and that's really, at the end of the day, all that really matters. You got the sweep.
Yep, that's what matters. It was as ugly as it could be, but that's what matters. But you could definitely feel the fatigue and kind of coming off of that high with Washburn, and just that 3 weeks with Tuesday night games. I mean, it was just we were feeling it, but it was also senior night. And so some emotions there, and I always remind them, save the sappy stuff for later. Right here, we're here to play a match. And so we came out strong, but yeah, our top 3-point scorers did not score. And so we had to shift things up and, say what you want about Newman. They're still a good team. And they're the biggest block that we see in the conference. And their strongest suit is blocking the outside hitters, which is right where we have 2 of our top point scorers. And so they shut us down out there, and we had to adjust and went to a 6-2 where we could run the right side a whole lot more, and our right sides are the ones that got the job done.
Well, you got the win, you get the sweep, so you're on a 2-match win streak now, and 4 to go. All of them on the road. Obviously, some tough competition. Central Missouri, Missouri Southern next weekend, at Western and at Northwest this Friday and Saturday. But your team is, as you said, kind of set yourself up. You've got a chance to still extend the season, do some good things, and hopefully now playing a little bit more consistent at the right time, because these next 4 matches obviously would determine a lot for your squad.
Yeah, I mean, it'll make or break whether we make it to the tournament or not. I know we have to win at least 2, but I think our plan is just to win all 4.
Well, then you're going to take care of it.
That's just what you do. But, yeah, this weekend is actually going to be really tough. Well, both the weekends are going to be really tough. But Mo West just jumped into the number 4 spot. And we played them pretty well the first go-round. So I think it'll be a good pairing. But They've shifted things up a little bit, and we'll see if we can match that. But we play a very similar style game. And so it's, they're also in black and gold. So sometimes it looks like you're looking in the mirror, playing each other. Their right side is a big, nasty right side, and we've got a big, nasty right side too. And, they run a lot heavy to their pins, which we do as well. And they're a good defensive team, and so are we. I think right now we outblock them. On paper, and they kind of out-hit us. And so it'll be a good pairing, I think.
I want to talk real quick before we let you go about recruiting. You had your senior day, obviously, but I know you've been busy on that and excited about some of the new faces that are coming in here to the program.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to say anything yet because there's nothing written on the dotted line, but we have 7 commits coming in. There are 2 from Colorado, 1 from Nebraska, and the rest are here from Kansas. And so, one of the interesting things is 3 of our 4 commits from Kansas were all playing in the state tournament last weekend, and the assistants made it down there on Friday. And they were all in the same pool, and they all made it to a 3-way tie to make it, to the finals. And so one of our commits got bumped out in that 3-way tie, and the other 2 are state champs and state runner-up.
And I think that's important. You get players who have been a part of winning and successful programs. I think there's something to that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the mentality that they bring. They expect to win. There's not a doubt in their mind when they step on the court that it's theirs, because that's been their training for years. And one of the girls that we have coming in is a 4-time state champ. Oh. She's been a state champ since her freshman year. And she just brings a different mentality, a different fire, and she leads. And so we like that mentality coming in with that crew because they're going to have to fill some pretty big shoes.
Yeah, you've got some that you're going to be needing to replace. Kind of back to this year's team, health-wise, going into these final 2 weekends, how you doing?
We've been out 3 of our 6 starters for the last 3 days. Gracie's had the flu. Emily sprained her ankle on Monday. And Kaya was at the doctor's yesterday. So we're hoping by tomorrow everybody's back up and running. I'm just taking the positive side saying, you know what, your legs are pretty beat up, so maybe this is some rest that they need so you can be jumping at your best this weekend. But, they're all fighters. Even when they're sick, you wouldn't know it. They're telling you that they're fine, and they're getting out and getting it done. And we've had to mandate some to rest. Doctor's orders, But I think overall, on the whole, everybody's holding up pretty well. That's just, the way it happens. I mean, we play September, October, and then 2 weeks in November. And so you're going to get worn down. You're going to get beat up, and you got to figure out a way to get it done despite.
All right. Sounds good. Well, it all starts here, this final stretch drive, Friday at 6 in St. Joe. against the Missouri Western State Griffins. Coaches, always appreciate your time. Go get a win on Friday and get this little stretch run off to a good start.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's an order. Missouri Western, 6 o'clock on Friday, then Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock in Maryville against Northwest Missouri State. And again, both of those on the MIAA Network. Tiger Talk brought to you in part by The Taco Shop. Whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine in, carry out, or delivery, you've never had it so good. The Taco Shop, they've been a Hayes tradition since 1970. We'll talk football with Chris Brown next. This is the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
And back to pass. It's going to be caught by Trevor Watts. First down, he breaks the tackle. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. It's a touchdown! Touchdown, Fort Hays State. Trevor Watts, 46 yards on 4th and 1. It's 16-0 Tigers. Now, one of the big plays Saturday against Central Oklahoma. Tigers come out with a 34-0 win. They've won 5 in a row, tied for 3rd place in the MIAA. Welcome back to Tiger Talk, brought to you in part by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Learn more at hayesmed.com/orthopedics. We're joined now by head coach Chris Brown. Let's go ahead and start with that play. That was a weird sequence. It was 4th and 1. You kind of act like you might fake it. You force Central Oklahoma to call a timeout. You go back and then you call a timeout. Then ultimately you go for it and get a touchdown out of the play. Was that some gamesmanship or what was going on there?
Well, I thought it was until I actually watched the film. They had 12 guys on the field. So, of course, they called timeout.
That's what they called timeout.
Yeah, so they called timeout for that. And so then we tried to do it again and, try to get him to jump offside. So then we called timeout. And I just said, Coach Bryant, you got to play. And he goes, yep, let's go. And sure enough, he dialed up the right play. And, a lot of those situations, those guys go out of bounds, but Watts stayed on the sideline, took a few hits, and got into the end zone. So that's kind of how that all played out. They had too many guys on the field. I thought I was I thought I had something.
So it was gamesmanship on your part, survival on there. And it's good to see Trevor find the end zone. I mean, he's been just a rugged, tough receiver all year for you, but he hasn't been able to get to the end zone. But it's nice to see him find the end zone on that play.
And it really is. He's been talking about it all year. He's like, I just can't find the end zone. I just can't quite get there. And finally to see him get in there and the smile on his face and the excitement and joy is awesome because his brother, Shane's been there quite a few times. And I'm sure there's a little bit of talk back and forth.
You think maybe they go a little bit, yeah.
I've scored a few more points than you have. So,
sure.
But it was good to see Trevor get in there. He's a great kid. He works hard, and it's great. I'm glad he's on our team.
I'm sure Shane's like, hey, I've been on offense 1 year, and I've already tripled your touchdown count. Nice win, 34-0, and we talked last week. They were 4-4, but a good team. And then Stephon Brown was back from the injury, and he obviously gives them a dynamic that they hadn't had with him gone with Hurl at quarterback. But looked like your guys adjusted well, and I really thought especially on defense, we heard the highlight earlier of a sack. The front four really established themselves and have for most of the season, but I thought they played really well on Saturday, really the whole defense.
Yeah, and that's where it all starts. It's up front with those guys and the things that they're doing. I mean, they're playing the run well. They're playing the pass and getting pressure on the quarterback, getting some sacks, and making those quarterbacks uncomfortable. And our secondary and linebackers are doing a good job of not giving up big plays, even though we give up one big play in that game, and I wish we could take that back. Mm-hmm. But it's just a little fake screen and go, and they got us on it. So it's just our guys got to just be alert for those situations and see things happen in front of them. But all along, I thought our defense played really well.
What was nice about this game, it didn't feel like it had the roller coaster ride, which we've seen really the last 2 or 3 weeks. Good first quarter, bad second, good third, bad fourth. You guys are obviously you put a shutout, but just didn't have that drop-off on Saturday. And it was not a nice day, and it probably helped being the home team and having the early lead in cold conditions. But your guys were pretty consistent throughout the afternoon.
They were. The weather didn't really, affect our guys at all. I mean, heck, they was out there before pregame with their shirts off walking around, and I told some of them they probably need to keep their shirts on because they're not quite have the physique to be walking around out there. Yeah, so But it didn't. We played well, and then, sudden change, things happened, and defensively we kept them in check and didn't let them score, get first downs even, and made them punt. But, we had the 2 turnovers, and that's really, the big thing in that game that, Jack's just trying to make plays. One, Ryan Allen's so wide open, you don't want to miss that throw, and he just kind of baby it in there instead of putting it on the line and getting it to him. And then the other one, it's going to be a touchdown. His hand just gets hit, and the ball, flies around, they pick it off. So, but our guys did a good job. There's adversity in that game that they fought through, and as long as they continue to do those things, great things are going to happen for us.
You got 3 takeaways. I know that's something you've been looking for. 3 interceptions in the second half, and you got off to that great start in that category. Then, kind of in the middle of the season, you hadn't had a lot, but it was good to see 3 interceptions in the second half to not let them get back in it, but also help preserve that shutout. Yeah, it was. And it's, those are things we talk about all the time is turnovers, and we've really been hounded on that in practice. And, there's opportunities in practice to get those turnovers as well, and we just hadn't capitalized in practice, so you don't capitalize in the game. So the last few weeks, they've really been, focused in on that and getting the turnovers in practice as well. So, we need 3, 4, 5. I'll take 6 a game. But that's, we need to score on one of those as well. Shane Watts, another 100-yard rushing day, 106 on 18 carries. I thought all 3 of your backs ran well. Travis Dixon had his best game, 8 carries for 86, and then Jaquan Tillis had 9 for 31 and a touchdown. Good to see all 3 of them running well, and again, that offensive line, we're kind of seeing them grow up each and every week, and they played well again.
And that's where it starts, up front again. We gotta get a good push and get to the second level, and get off those double teams and block some linebackers, and then your running back's got to be patient enough to see the hole. There's a few times that nothing was there, and they still plunged forward for a positive yardage, or even like Shane got a long run on something that wasn't even there, and he just found a way to bounce it outside and get 20, 30 yards. But they are playing well, they are seeing things pretty well, and they're doing a good job in the pass protection too, as well as picking up blitzers and things like that. So yeah, they're improving each week. Our line's improving each week, and hopefully this is the week we really put it all together.
Well, it's an exciting time, and we're obviously going to talk about Central Missouri here in just a little bit. But for this team to now have won 5 in a row, tied for 3rd, to put themselves in the situation going into the final 2 weeks of the regular season, maybe early on didn't know if they could be here, but this team has found ways to win football games, and here they are, 2 weeks left, and everything to play for.
Yeah, it is. I love coaching this group of young men. They practice hard. And they do things right. They're in the weight room constantly. They're always in the film room, and you just see guys, stacked around each other, just preparing for football games. And hopefully they're doing the same thing in the classroom. But, these games that they're doing right now, the way they're preparing for these games and getting ready is tremendous. We have great practices. Yesterday we had a really, really good practice, and I'm expecting that same thing today and then on Thursday as well. But, they're just such a great group of guys. There's a great accountability, there's great leadership, and there's great discipline. And, you got those 3 things, great things happen.
Tiger Talk brought to you today by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. We'll take our final break. We'll come back and preview a big one on Saturday. Big day in the MIAA. The top 4 teams all playing one another, including Fort Hays State in Warrensburg against the 11th-ranked Mules of Central Missouri. We'll preview it next. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at HaysPost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
The throw near sideline for Horace, and it's bobbled. He brings it in. Touchdown, Fort Hays State. Jaden Horace with great concentration caught the pass after it was deflected by Amonte Davis in the end zone. Second touchdown catch for Horace today. It's 26-0. That's become a pretty good combination, Dawson, to Horace. His 3rd multi-touchdown game this year as a receiver. I think I went back and looked. There's only been a couple of others. Harley Hazlett, Keaton Callens, and O.J. Murdoch since 2010 have had 3 games with multi-touchdowns, and we've got the sports information staff trying to track down if anyone's done it 4 times or more in a season. But he's been obviously a big impact and has helped with this offense, and you've got a lot of weapons at the receiving core, and we talked about some of them earlier, but that combination from Dawson to Horace has been fun to watch.
It is. I mean, Horace is a tremendous athlete. Like I've said before many times, I mean, kid just – he comes to practice. He comes to practice. I mean, it's not going to go out there and just kind of go through the motions. I mean, this kid really works, and we do one-on-ones, with our defensive backs every day, and he's going to compete and going to win. And he just runs great routes, in and out of his breaks really well, sells things really well as well. But the kid has tremendous hands, tremendous body control, and when that ball's in the air, it's his, and he's going to make sure he gets it.
All right, big game, big week. You look at the MIAA, the top 4 teams all play one another. Pitt State's going to be at Missouri Western. You're tied with Missouri Western. You're going to be in Warrensburg against Central Missouri, kind of a shake-up Saturday type of day. And, boy, you look at the Mules, their only loss by 1 to Pitt State. They opted to go for a 2-point conversion late, and that was early in the year, and they seem to just have gotten better and better and better. They scored 77 against Emporia State a few weeks ago. How do you go about attacking these guys? I mean, it's almost like video game football with them.
Just defensively, just don't get too complicated. I think a lot of guys try to do too much, and your kids get confused and they don't know where to be. As fast as they get to the line of scrimmage, and I think they have like 80-something snaps a game, maybe more than that. But it's preparing them for that quick tempo. And, right now with practice, we start practice with, 3 different groups of young men, and we just run plays at them as fast as we possibly can for about 10 minutes just to kind of see how our kids react and stress our kids a little bit and see how they handle it. And yesterday, they did a pretty darn good job with it. And but that's the tempo they're going to play with, so we got to be ready for it and be able to make some adjustments with our defense that we have on the field as well, and then hopefully get some pressure on the quarterback and, Don't give up the big one. Yeah, that's the thing.
And you watch them, and I haven't watched all their games, but the few I've watched, I mean, it's almost like they flood you with receivers. They're all very talented. They run tempo, and they don't really give you a chance to kind of get set, catch your breath, and then eventually you make a mistake or they hit a big play. Or if you do well, like Emporia, cover the deep stuff, they run that stuff underneath, and those little 5-yard passes become 15, 20-yard plays.
Yeah, we just got to be disciplined, in our drops this week and know where we're supposed to be and running all those routes at them. So it's our linebackers and our down safeties are able to see those crossing routes and hopefully, keep them in check and maybe get some big hits on those as well. And then our safeties and corners got to stay back and not give up the big play. So it's just making sure we show them every route that we possibly can, every route combo that we can possibly give them just to make sure that they're prepared and ready. And it's assignment football. Do your job, do your assignment, and be where you're supposed to be and don't give up the big play and make them earn everything.
Do need to remind you, Fort Hays State football inviting you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. They also, I think what probably gets lost in this, they are +9 in turnover margin and have had a wide disparity of outscoring their opponents in points off turnovers. They're very opportunistic. They lead the conference in interceptions. It seems like a game, and the pressure's on the defense and all the numbers that Central Missouri puts up, but the offense can go a long ways in helping that defense. If they can sustain some drives and obviously get a chance to score, you need to find a way to get 7 instead of 3.
Yeah, this is going to be a total group effort, offense, defense, and it's going to be a little bit different defense than what we're used to facing with a lot of man coverage and 3-man front, but it's going to take a team effort to win this ball game. Special teams got to do well as well, but it's each other helping each other out, and you'll find a way to win this ball game.
Should be a lot of fun. Week 10, big game in the MIAA. The Tigers and the Mules with a lot riding on the line. Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. Go get them. Looking forward to a game on Saturday afternoon in Warrensburg.
Thanks, Gerard.
There you go. That's head coach Chris Brown. That'll be a 1 o'clock kick. Our coverage with the Tiger Tailgate Show presented by Auto World Used Cars at noon. Again, as always, TuneIn app. You can sync up the radio with the TV broadcast from the MIAA network and listen to the radio call. Tiger Talk brought to you by the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, Golden Bell Bank of Hayes and Ellis, BTI, and the Taco Shop. We'll talk to you later this evening from Lawrence. That's going to wrap it up for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robbins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.